And we're live.
What's up, everybody? And very nice and good summer to y'all. How are you doing?
Yeah, I like. Are you talking to me or to
Yeah, like
the many viewers that
to
we have?
to anybody out there in the darkness who wants to respond.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna pick it up here because I'm not hearing anyone else responding. So I'll just respond. I'm doing good. In fact, I have a Johnny Walker Black label here that I'm gonna pour myself because today I've been especially productive doing the last bits, the last corrections to my master's thesis, which is, I think we've talked about it in one of the earlier episodes, so I don't need to go into it. But check that out if you want to know what my master's thesis is about.
Yeah, man.
But
You have my,
yeah,
you have my utmost respect for that. You actually have the patience for it.
yeah, well, it took a long time too. There was a lot of doubt, a lot of struggling. Am I good enough for this? Am I? What? Who am I? What am I?
Yeah,
Where am I? What is the world? What is me? What is I? What is the difference in identity? What is the aliens? Um, but
but
now, but
the,
now I am much more in control than I have ever been before.
but
Uh,
this is also like what makes us human, in my opinion. This is what makes us unique as humans. That we're able to push forward during doubt, during depression, during uncertainty. Uh, we just keep
yeah,
going.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I've come to realize as well, that all those times when I was in doubt, when I was failing in yet another, I mean, man, I failed. I can just say it right now because I'm almost done with my final education, but I have dropped out of 3 educations in my life because it wasn't my thing. And thank God for Denmark, the country that we live in, because had it been any other country, dropping out of 3 educations, just ask anybody that you're talking to if they how many educations they have dropped out of. None of them will say 3. And why can I say that? It's because Denmark is the country of not just second chances, but third chances and fourth chances and fifth chances, and there's more and more chances that you get. And at some point, the psyche of an individual living in a country like that will be like, fuck, I gotta do something now. I gotta do something now.
Yeah,
And that's what happened with me.
yeah.
At some
Uh,
point, at some point, and this is actually Schopenhauer's philosophy, the German philosopher author Schopenhauer. He figured out in all his 800-page philosophy, the book called The World is Will and Imagination. The basis of that is humans are born with an innate will to always want more. And maybe you have to be lazy for a certain amount. Maybe you're lazy for a certain amount of time. Maybe you're like drinking, or maybe you're like on the totally wrong track. But eventually, if there's not external problems, if there's not disease that is encountering you, if there's not people holding you back, eventually a human will get to the point where they are going to want some more.
yeah, well, not everybody. I
No,
think
no,
like
no,
not
everybody.
everybody, but
Everybody. This is
for most
everybody. But
for
but the
most of
thing,
us.
the reason why everybody isn't isn't achieving more is because there's external circumstances that
Like,
are making sure to shut them down before they get to that point.
what I'm like thinking about like is when I like watched that show like a while back, like Cash Help in Denmark, and then this person who has like been on Cash Help for years, right? Says, "Yo, man, you got no fucking idea how hard it is to get up at bed in the morning and make a cup of coffee."
And you're talking about in American terms, it would be the unemployment check.
Yeah, no, like no,
but
no,
but
no,
better
no,
but better than that. Yeah.
no, kontanthjälp.
Yeah,
That's
but
when
they don't have that in the
and
U.S.
they don't have that. They would
No.
be like, they would be on their ass, right? If they didn't have like the unemployment check, it would be like, get a fucking job or be homeless, right?
Yeah. But that's
and
more extreme in the U.S. In Denmark, you get much more money
But-
if you're unemployed than in the
but
U.S.
I kind of like get this because it forces you to do something. It forces you to figure it out. While the downside in Denmark is that it allows you to be lazy. It allows you to be content.
Yeah, but the problem with external forces on the because you got to think about that work is very closely related to identity of a person, and external forces that interfere with that identity, even though it may appear lazy to the onlookers. Is external forces can seem interfering with that identity,
Yeah.
and that's why whenever people perceive you as lazy, and receiving this check that's coming, or this not this check, but receiving this transfer that's coming in to your account every month, and people calling you lazy. That,
or even a criminal.
Yeah, that's much more healthy. In fact, that's much more healthy than not having that much money coming in, because the circumstance, the financial circumstances that force you to do it, they interfere with your identity much more than the social circumstances interfere with your identity.
Hell yeah.
So that's why I'm still an advocate for, and especially in a world. I mean, like, we're living in a world that is going to be gradually more and more jobs are going to become unavailable to more and more people, and that's why because more and more of those jobs that were previously done by laborers are going to be automized by mechanics, by machines and robotics, and those jobs will be lost. And those people that you would usually have to do them, they have to re-educate themselves. And in order to do that, we need a universal basic income, so that those guys are existentially secured, but not so secured that they're like growing lazy. But they won't grow lazy, because at a certain point, you are going to want to do something better with your life. It is simply inevitable. There's simply not many contexts in the world where an individual is seriously thinking to himself, I just want to lie on this hammock and smoke weed all day long.
Nah, because deep within inside, we all know that motion comes or emotion comes from motion. You gotta have like a feeling that you're making progress.
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly.
have a feeling, right?
And that's a good point, because think about a guy who's been lying on the hammock all day long smoking weed. At some point, that energy that he's building up is because he's not using the energy for anything that he's building up while lying in the hammock. because he's not using that energy, that energy is eventually going to turn into irritation and eventually aggression.
Yeah.
And then he's going to do criminal actions. And
Yeah,
why is he going to do that? Because he doesn't have an idea yet of what he wants to do with that energy.
Or the aggression might spike an idea that he will, move forward with.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's not on a controlled path to fulfilling his destiny. And I'm just gonna throw the word destiny at you all. I know we live in secular times, and the idea of faith and destiny is kind of under prioritized in our society. But that may also be the problem of modernity. That may be the problem, but this is a whole other topic, of course. That's the problem that we have, that we live in a time of orientation crisis, where we don't know what ideal we have to live up to anymore. Like back then, think about this in other societies, in not the Middle Ages. Well, yeah, maybe the Middle Ages, where you had farming societies, where you were born into a family that was living in a very poor family at that was living on a farm, and they were tending to that farm. Do you think, as a son of a farmer, a poor fucking farmer, that was tending to his farm, that you would be paid to work on that farm? No, you would work on that farm just to be worthy of the honor of being a part of that family in the farming tradition. You wouldn't even think of paid work. You would just engage in a tradition of being a farming family, and you would help the family. You would take care of your old ones. You would take care of your grandparents on the farm. You would take care of your mom if they got sick. You would go to the local town to buy groceries. You do all these things, but you wouldn't expect to be paid for it.
It was like this until like a long fucking time, until like the 1950s, the 1960s.
Yeah.
There is this Norwegian show called Lykkeland, or Happiness Land.
Yeah.
Where like one of the characters have been living on one of these farms, right? But then he hears there's a new game in town, and it's called Oil. And you didn't need fuck all of education and certificates to get the job out there then, right? So then there is this like transformation of the character, as he has this debate and argument with his father, right? Who was like, oh, you're not gonna take care of the farm, son, right?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm gonna be an oil cowboy now, Dad. and then yeah, the next shot where he's like sitting in a helicopter, smoking a cigarette with his cowboy glasses on.
Wow.
Right?
Oh man, that I gotta admit that I just tuned out a little bit there, but that's not because it wasn't interesting. It was just because it just occurred to me how long it is since we've done one of these.
Yeah, it's we did one earlier in the summer, like in the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it just occurred to me that I've been missing. I mean, it's I blame my masters for it, because there's a lot of stuff to do there. So I'm not as available to making these podcasts as I used to be previously. Because I mean, the Masters does consume you. It's 55 to 70 pages written in a foreign language, written in German, so you can so you guys can think about how long time you would use if you had to write 55 pages in German, in an academic German no less, with all the right sources in place, and writing about a topic that is as complex as alienation versus resonance by a sociologist named Harper Rosa, based on a literary scholar named Franz Kafka, who everybody knows about, I think. It's just a
Sounds,
lot to handle.
It sounds extremely mentally exhausting.
It is. It is.
Uh,
It is. It is. But I'm
so of
happy that we
course,
had. But I'm really happy that we did this Friday night, because, I mean, yeah,
All right.
I'm busy and all, but I have had this notion for a long time that I like to
Bro.
keep my Fridays. I like to keep my Fridays free for stuff.
Bro, it's fucking Friday. That just occurs to me now.
Yeah. But
yeah, man. Yeah, man.
exactly. You've been so happy about your new job and stuff that we were just talking about before we started the.
Let me tell you like a story here. When I quit the diaper factory, right? I brought what you call it.
The diaper factory.
When I quit the diaper factory, I bought fucking cake for the guys. In English, the name of this cake is Danish. Wienerbrød.
I think we have to clarify to anyone who is listening to this in the future, who is going to be confused by that comment, probably also laughing at it. But like, what do you mean by diaper factory?
Well, like a factory that produces diapers and shit, right?
Oh, okay. Right.
So yeah, so I quit the diaper factory.
Well, not produces.
Yeah, produce or manufactures.
Do they manufacture? Do they manufacture them?
Yeah, they manufacture
don't they just ship them?
No, they manufacture it and they sell it.
But you were in charge of shipping them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But you were giving the Danish.
So I got the Danish pastry for and I paid a lot, man. I paid like $50.
Yeah.
Right. And then I bring them in, like for the boys, and we have the time where we're going to have it, right? And this is where I'm getting at, man. Like if you're staying at a place for too long, right?
Yeah.
It makes you doubt yourself. Like if you want to quit, right? You see that like people have been like 20 years in the same position, right?
Yeah.
Like all up until this point, like I'm like fucking doubting myself. Like, did I make the right decision? Should I just have stayed here loading containers of diapers, right?
Yeah.
And then here comes the moment where like I know if I made the right decision or not. I bring the Danish pastry into the office to eat, right? With the guys.
Yeah.
We eat it for like 3 minutes. So I still have the fucking cake and pastry in my mouth. When the boss says, "Well, look, guys, not to piss on your parade about Patrick over there, but you got the work to do, so get out and work."
Oh my god, fucking toxic. But we've talked about this in previous podcasts.
Yeah. So at that moment, I was like, it was like a weight lifting over my shoulders, being like, "Yeah, you made the right decision." So at the end of the day, I drove off for the last time from that place, and I listened to the tunes that you once put up on YouTube about the Banshee and ending theme extended.
Yeah. All right. Go check that out. It's called Banshee Extended Theme or something like that. That's pretty cool.
Epic shit.
Yeah, it's the end soundtrack, right? The soundtrack that plays while he's riding his motorcycle away from the town Banshee. That's an epic scene.
And you even have Sugar in the end there, popping the bottle of whiskey.
Yeah. Oh man, that is good. Oh man, yeah. I haven't thought about that show in a long time.
It's a good one, man. Anthony Starr is a grade A player.
Yeah. My buddy and I, we watched it recently, like a year ago, I think. No. Yeah, a year ago. A year ago. It was a year ago. And watching it for the second time, I thought it was actually a good show. Just as good as The Walking Dead, The Wire, Sopranos, Breaking Bad.
Better than
Nothing
Walking
is
Dead.
as good. Nothing is as good as Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. You know, I have a fetish for those. But that's mostly because those shows are much slower in pace than all the rest of the shows that I've seen.
Yeah, but like Banshee is like very hands-on problem
Yeah,
solving.
yeah.
It's not a lot of like thinking about how we're going to attack the problem in Banshee. It is just attack the problem.
Yeah. But also, but Banshee it's one of the most violent shows I've seen, and that includes it's almost as violent as The Walking Dead, and the Walking Dead truly is the most violent show I've ever seen. But that's because we have all the zombies and all the gore that goes along with that. But then again, it still depends on how you define violence. How do you define violence? Because how I define violence is like splat, you know, a lot of gore, a lot of blood, and
no.
a lot of intricate ways
That,
to promote that splat.
that doesn't necessarily go under like my category of like how I would categorize violence.
Okay, now let me hear.
Like I would like say like I categorize violence and violent acts as something that makes my blood pump, right? Something that gets my pulse up. Like the first time I watched Breaking Bad, my pulse went up like 130 plus every time. Like some
but
shit
still,
happened, right?
the same. I would say the same thing about Breaking Bad. But I would still say that The Walking Dead is more violent than Breaking Bad.
I meant Breaking Bad. The first time I watched that, right, I had like a pulse, like a like 120, 130 pulse, like the entire fucking 5 seasons, right?
Yeah, me too. But the thing is, that doesn't make it more violent. That means it's a dramatic show, and it's an action show. It's a thrilling show. But it doesn't make it violent.
I gotta like really think about it, because whenever I have like watched Walking Dead, I have never thought about it as a violent show.
I mean, violence to me is the degree of violence starts with a man just pulling his gun and killing another guy. That's violent.
Yeah, but
more violent is if the man pulls out his gun, shoots the guy, and you see the blood splatter everywhere. Maybe he takes maybe he takes his knife, and you see him stabbing him in the chest, and you see the blood spattering everywhere. And then and then even more violence is if the guy maybe like takes in his hand, grabs around inside his chest, and then pulls out some guts. That's the most violent of all those three.
I agree with you. But I couldn't draw that conclusion at once. Because like I've seen so much violent shit on TV, right? Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, SEAL Team 6, right? All that shit. So it has just like been integrated as a part of my brain. Like, it's just normal. Like when I'm like seeing it, right? So
you're not thinking about the degrees of violence.
No, because it is exactly. It is like, I knew that was going to happen. He shot that guy. He shot that guy in the head.
But man, you're missing out on so much, though.
Yeah, I know.
Because
I need to.
because it's like, to me, it's interesting to see Also, it's like also morally, it's very interesting to see. Like, and for instance, as a judge, for
But
instance, you
but like I know when you're like talking about it. For instance, in MacGyver, not the new show, but the old show from the 90s, right?
yeah.
Whenever you would see somebody getting shot, there is no blood.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah, exactly.
it's
And
just
that's like actually a very typical phenomenon with all those 80s
90s,
shows,
yeah.
80s, 70s, 80s shows. The A-Team, for instance. What do we have? Beverly Hills Cops. I just watched the new Axel F movie recently, and it's interesting to see that the violence in the new Axel F movie, Beverly Hills Cops, versus the old Beverly Hills Cops movies is much more, because we are used to much more violence, and that also goes along with the acceleration I was talking about before in the theory that I'm writing about in my master's. That our society, that the acceleration, the progression of violence in movies is rapidly increasing towards our time as it was before.
Absolutely. I'm just like thinking about like how it has evolved, right? Through these decades and then until now, where it is like completely up close, 4K, 8K violence, right? Blood, sweat, everything.
Yeah. And that's my point. Like the violence that there's this spectrum of violence almost, and if you have the best example I could come up with as someone who really understands the ramifications of violence in society and in movies throughout time is Quentin Tarantino. Because if you watch his movies and if you listen to him talk about violence in interviews, and especially in that interview with where he's shutting down that British reporter, I can't remember his name.
No.
Where he's talking about, well, not in that interview because he doesn't want to talk about it but he's talked about violence on several occasions before, and he has a very intricate knowledge about the degrees of violence. So everything from a person just hitting someone with a knyttnäve, with a, what do you call it?
Yeah, with a fist.
With a fist in the face. That's That's the harm. That's the 80s violence.
Yeah.
Then we have someone stabbing someone with a knife. Then we have someone shooting you with a gun. Maybe the gun comes before the knife.
I wanted to like
then we have Scarface, which is like gunning down his victims with a fucking AK rifle or with a semi-automatic.
With this graduation of violence in Tarantino, what's the first Tarantino movie that comes to mind when you're thinking Tarantino?
Well, I'm biased because I have a favorite Tarantino movie, and that is what do you think my favorite Tarantino movie? Now we've known each other for over 10 years.
I'm thinking either Inglourious Basterds or Django Unchained.
Actually, neither.
Neither.
You want to guess again?
Kill Bill?
No, it's actually The Hateful Eight.
Oh, right.
And I tell you why, because I
the
like
story?
The story, obviously, but I like the concept of having a story take place in one location where the characters can't escape from. Where all the narratives of all the characters, we have all these different characters that have all kinds of different backgrounds, are all coming together in one location from which they cannot escape because there's a freaking blizzard going on out there, and they're forced to act out their personalities in this location, Minnie's haberdashery, in the matter of one day or one night.
Right.
And that goes horribly wrong, obviously, because someone poisons the coffee, and then what happens? I don't want to spoil anything.
I'm gonna say, like, if you asked me the same question, like what's my favorite Tarantino movie, I would say From Dusk Till Dawn, even though he didn't direct that one. He was part of it, and he wrote the script, but he didn't direct it.
Oh, right.
That was I gotta like check it out, like who that was. But that was like
But why? Why?
that was very similar to the Hateful Eight, by the way, in the way that they're trapped in this roadhouse saloon in Mexico
Mm.
with a bunch of vampires,
Mm.
right? And this one has what you're talking about, the graduation of violence. Starts with a fist, a bar fight, right? And then it gradually amps up with the usage of weapons, like knife, knife, gun, bat to the skull, stake through the heart. Like it gradually like amps up like that.
Mm.
A very very genius movie, by the way. Harvey Keitel is in it. Tarantino himself is playing in it.
George Clooney is in it.
George Clooney is playing Tarantino's
Danny
brother.
Trejo.
Danny
Like
Trejo is
fucking...
playing some psycho vampire.
Yeah,
in it,
yeah.
right?
Oh my god. And Salma Hayek.
Well, like it has all the it has all the good ones in it.
Man, I gotta watch that at some point. That sounds...
But
Yeah, and Quentin himself is in it.
I don't fucking remember, like what happened in it. But there's this scene because as I remember it, they're like escaping the U.S., right? They're George Clooney and Tarantino, right? Brothers.
Yeah.
And Tarantino is then obviously playing the fucking psycho of the two, right?
Yeah.
And I don't remember like what's happening, but like Clooney is like coming into the hotel room, and the phone is just like covered in blood because the maid has been in there. And Tarantino was like sitting there like, I don't know, right?
But why? Because the maid. What? Like, wait.
Like
What?
maid, like imagine like maid goes into the room. Tarantino's character is like fucking freaks out, smashes smashes the person's brains in with the phone, right? And then the brother Clooney's character walks in, right, and just sees the fucking room full of blood and the phone full of blood, and then Tarantino's like, I don't know, I don't know, like what happened. She came in. Right.
Wow.
But yeah, man, like he plays such a he plays such a good psycho.
Yeah. I still don't understand why. Like, because why a maid? Because a maid, when she's been in the room, that should be clean. Because the maid cleans.
Like maybe like she came in, saw something, right? But like I don't know if I'm remembering it.
I don't know.
wrong,
I'm
but,
drunk. I'm drunk.
But,
And like,
but remember, like
yeah.
remember, he's on the run. He has busted out his brother
Yeah.
from a police transport, right? So it could just be that he's paranoid and then just kills her out of that.
Mm.
I'm gonna like see Tarantino scene. Tarantino scene, Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
All right.
You haven't seen that movie?
No, I need to add it to my watch list right now. Cause it's like fuck, man. Is it on? Is it on Netflix?
It was on Netflix before. Yeah, man. Here it fucking is, man. Like we don't see this is what's brilliant about Tarantino. Because you don't fucking see the scene of like what the fuck happened, right? But you just see Clooney like coming in and being like fucking shocked at what he's saying, right? Seeing. And then Tarantino saying like, This is your fault.
Yeah. No, it's not on Netflix. That sucks. But I mean, it's a it's a 1996 movie, so
Yeah.
it's almost it's over 25 years old, man. So couldn't you just like of course
Yeah.
couldn't you just watch it on like on some streaming website? You know,
No.
those extra legal streaming sites.
Fuck, man. Remember, like Clooney had like the most awesome tattoo ever in this movie. Um, but yeah, man. What else is new in the world? Peace in the world, huh?
Yeah. There. What?
Peace in the world.
There is
And
one
that,
of those extra legal sites, by the way.
yeah, okay. Another thing that's going on is that Kamala Harris really seems to be fucking winning this
Oh
election.
yeah. That's another.
Mm,
Maybe that's the
Like,
last thing because we're
yeah,
already on 36 minutes here.
okay, that's
Um,
the last thing. But yeah, man, like, and I felt like it was brilliant because she chose Tim Walz as her running mate, the VP candidate, right?
oh yeah,
And
Tim Waltz.
Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota.
Oh right.
He's
And he's 60 years old. That's
Yeah,
actually that's like because like
but
we just had the election for the European Parliament, right?
but hey,
Uh,
man, like, look, man, like he's the highest uh military ranking dude to ever become vice president running mate candidate.
yeah.
Because the dude spent over 20 years in the United States Armed Forces. He was a teacher, uh, so like
Yeah,
he knows.
and he's only 60 years old, and let me tell you my because what I wanted to say with the European election that we've just voted for is when I voted there, I voted for someone who was in the age range between 50 and 60 years old, and you know why?
Yeah, because he don't want some old mofo to be president.
Yeah, that's half of the reason is because my new philosophy of voting is, and this has come after 31 years of studying various educations and various, my background,
Yeah,
various interesting stuff and politics at a reasonable range. But what I've come to realize is that wouldn't it make sense to elect someone who is not so old that they're like Biden and Trump, who are like Biden is almost suffering from dementia. I don't know, maybe not, but he is definitely almost senile. Trump is just an old idiot, but they also shouldn't be young enough to not know the political game. You know, because
yeah,
there's something about people in the age of 50 to 60 that makes them like they have just enough wisdom to know what they're getting into, but they still have the energy of actually engaging actively in the political landscape. And I think Tim Walz, while he may be a little older than I would want him to be, he still seems to have the energy that is needed to actually to actually engage in the political debate.
yeah, yeah. He's
And that's what I want in a politician. I want that wisdom as well as the energy, the aggression that you still have at that age.
so
Bec-
with him as the running mate, she's also seems to be winning Wisconsin.
yeah, because
And that puts it almost at 50-50, if not at 52 to 48 in her favor.
Yeah, because you can say that Trump still has that aggression. He knows how to attack, but at the same time, he's also just batshit crazy. I mean,
Yeah, he knows how to attack. He doesn't know how to respond.
no, yeah, exactly. But
That's the
also
difference.
his politics is just he just makes up shit.
Yeah,
He just doesn't he just doesn't care anymore.
yeah.
He just his politics is just he says whatever people want him to say. He knows that, but he at the end of the day, Trump doesn't have his politics in order. And
No.
like I don't like yeah I mean like I'm just speculating but that's at least what I hear from people that I talk to and what I read that
Yeah, well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
because he's loud, he's good at being loud, but at the end of the day he doesn't know exactly he's a good businessman, but he's only a businessman. He doesn't know how to run a country. Isn't a business. We can agree on that, right?
Not according to him.
Not according
If
to
you
him, but
look-
it's
if you look,
I mean, come on,
If
man.
you,
I
if
mean,
you, if you look at how he was treating it, he really treated America like it was a country. If you look at like how many fucking people he fired during his presidential period, holy shit, he was acting like somebody trimming out the fat
I mean,
at the company.
fuck, man. I mean, like all I have to come up with here as a counter argument is yeah, okay, you want to treat America as a business, okay? So let's say you're Trump now. You're treating America as a business. You're making revenue. What do we do with this fucking 300 million tons of garbage that the U.S. is producing? What is your business plan for that?
Well, he would probably say something like, "Yeah, we'll just ship it to Mexico."
Mexico doesn't want to buy that. What do we do? How do you make a business solution to that garbage?
You mean like garbage? Like like they produce like a fucking insane amount of garbage, man.
Who?
Like America.
Yeah, exactly. So what do we do with the Trump? Now you're the role of Trump. So, but I'm not to put any pressure on you, but this is just to demonstrate that you can't run the country like a business. You can't run it like a profit, like a cost profit calculation, like a cost benefit calculation.
I got it, man. We're just gonna roll all the garbage up to one fucking big ass ball, and then shoot it out to space with one of my pal Elon Musk's rockets.
Yeah, and that's and that's exactly the bullshit answer that Trump would give too.
Yeah.
But the question is, does this actually solve the problem?
No, fuck no.
No, because he's a fucking
eventually-
clown. He's a fucking clown. He's a
it would
comic
eventually-
clown.
It would eventually come back into Earth's orbit and
Yeah.
fucking crash land somewhere.
Yeah,
on
because he's entertainment. He's nothing more than that. He's just funny to look at. Trump is just entertainment. He's just he's a fucking sitcom. Yeah, I mean, the dude Trump should have a fucking laugh track attached to him.
Definitely.
Fucking hell, man.
All right, interesting times. We gotta hope that guy won't be president.
Yeah.
Like my yeah. No. That's that. Should we turn it off here?
Yeah, I think so, because it's getting late. But now you want to say something about Kamala Harris, who I actually respect.
Well, I do like her. I would have like preferred it to have been Robert Kennedy instead. But Kamala Harris does have some good points. She does seem to be like a valid politician.
I haven't even heard of Robert. What was it?
Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
All right.
He wasn't Joe Rogan, by the way. I urge you to like.
Oh
listen
right,
to,
I know. I watched a little bit of it. And yeah, but this is just again, I don't follow American politics more than the top candidates, and this is probably also the problem with the American political system is that many Americans, they just don't have the time to follow more than the top candidates. So you like, just like me, and I'm excused because I'm not an American. I mean, I know many more of the Danish leaders than the American leaders, but many Americans, they're just like, yeah, we have the choice between Trump or Biden. Who do we want to choose? Well, Biden is a senile, demented old fool, so yeah, we gotta choose Trump. And now, and this is where the Democratic Party actually has been genius in the last few months, is now that Biden fucked up during the last debate, now they changed to Kamala Harris being the official nominee right before the what is this nominating process called again, where they officially nominate the candidate who's running for president.
The presidential primaries.
Yeah, the primaries. So right before that, they changed to Kamala Harris. So she's now in the running. The perfect time, in my opinion, to change, because now she's taking over all the money that has already been funded into the names Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Luckily that she was his vice president, so that she can now become the president with his funding, because there's like millions, it's hundreds of millions of dollars that have gone into funding the names Biden and Harris.
It was also lucky that Trump chose an unpopular running mate.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, JD, what the fuck is that? Even some like 39-year-old huckster who's just out of law school? What the fuck, man? No, wait, is he studying law? I don't know.
Like, it looks like some schmuck, at least some snob from upper.
Yeah, he's 40 years old. He's just 9 years older than me. Can you imagine me being president of the U.S.?
Did you hear what he said about Ukraine? When he was like asked about Ukraine, like what their politics was about that, he was like, America got nothing to do with that. They're way over there. We are here.
Yeah, but that's the same thing that Trump also represents. It's the America First junction. But the thing is, I mean, you can understand that in a way, because Russia,
No.
but that's again like.
I'll explain to you like
this
why.
This is getting more and more complicated. We don't have to go into that tonight.
No, I'm just gonna say like one last thing, and that is, when you take on the task to act as the world's world police, right? As we're the guy.
And by the way, that's not going to be the president of the U.S. is not going to be the world's leader. This is what we. I mean, this is also a Western-centric perspective on the world. We always think of the president of the U.S. being in charge of the world.
No.
In a way, that has been the case during the Cold War, but things are changing, man. China is rising up. What is the?
They are. But my point was simply like, after World War II, they took on the role as world police, right? And if you do want to take on the role as world police, fine. But then you also got to be prepared to back up any ally in the entire world when push comes to shove.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, then you can't just like pull back from that and just say like, nah, that's not our problem. It's not in our backyard. They're nothing to us, right?
Yeah, but all this is especially this thing with who can really be said to be the leader of the world. Maybe we should save that for another episode, because that's a complicated discussion, and especially in the future where China is a growing economy and is getting more and more economic influence, but probably more and more military influence in the future. But we can save that for another episode because that is going to be a factor.
Yeah, it is. All right. Have a nice weekend, all y'all, and thanks for tuning in, wherever you are in the world. Don't forget to sub, like, leave a comment if you want to be on the podcast someday.
Yeah, and I also want to just thank all y'all, and especially co-host here, Patrick, for doing another one of these on a random spontaneous Friday. And man, just another casual thank you, because man, it really has been a while since we've made one of these. So thanks for that, man.
Mind exercising.
Yeah, definitely, and we. Like, I have really missed these things. Because it's, even though maybe they're not going to be seen today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not 10 years from now, maybe not even 100 years from now, but at the end of the day, it keeps the discussion alive, it keeps my brain alive, and it keeps life interesting.
Maybe in like 500-600 years, some aliens will be listening to this podcast and be saying like, "Wow, these dudes were really bright."
Yeah, or I mean, they would pick up that they're not the brightest guys on Earth even, but hey, at least they tried. At least they tried to get places, and that's what humans are good at. We're good at trying to excel, and I think that's a good place to end this podcast.
Definitely.
All right.